Pitch your Pursuit of Happiness story now. Deadline is August 28th. Call 406-203-4683. Details at tellussomething.org.
ESPN Radio for Western Montana, KKVU HD3 Stevensville, and 102.9 FM on K275BS Missoula.
All right, rise and shine, Sleeping Beauty. Come on, hop, hop, hop.
Where is the coffee?
Crash pot!
You want me to fill you up? Please, please, to the top, to the top, to the top. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay, tell me again, why do you do this show?
For the stats.
I thought it was for the love.
Can we please just do the radio show?
I'm ready. Let's do it.
Welcome to Tootell Nuanez. Now broadcasting live from the Grizzly Disposal Studios. Say hello to E.B. Craney award-winning sports broadcasters Ryan Tootell and Colter Nuanez.
Hello, Montana. A spectacular and beautiful Thursday morning to you. We are, as I tell my children when we're closing in on Christmas, 2 sleeps away from college football in the state of Montana. And it just feels, it's so close and yet so far away. Isn't it, Colter?
Well, we're only 1 sleep away. At 24 hours, well, I guess 36 hours exactly from right now, away from the opening of the Big Sky Conference.
Like actually.
Which is the Friday night showcase happens to be in San Luis Obispo, California. This is funny to me. I watch certainly 2 Big Sky Conference games every single week, involving the Montana schools, and almost always I watch each of those games multiple times. And then I usually try to catch whoever else is a really good team. I have this weird, well, this is not, it's not surprising to anybody that knows me. I have this weird obsession with watching Big Sky Conference teams play each other when it's not Montana and Montana State.
What?
like I am so stoked for Idaho Cal Poly. I am so stoked for this game. Like
This is like children saying that they really love ice cream, like they're revealing some mystery that we didn't know.
But it is so funny because when I'm watching Montana versus Southern Utah, or I'm watching Montana State versus Utah Tech, you inherently watch the game not one-sided, but through the lens of the team that you cover the most, right?
Of course,
when it's just Idaho Cal Poly. And sure, we cover Idaho. I mean, we have a little extension of Idaho, and that's probably the 3rd biggest team in the Big Sky in terms of fans and following and all that. But it is just so great. It's just you're just watching the game, and you're watching, well, who's that guy? Who's that guy? You know? Like when you have the predisposed matchup in your head, you want to see how it goes. It's different than just being like, I wonder who's good. Oh, those guys are good.
Well, and also, not that you're rooting for Idaho or Cal Poly, but when you come at something objectively,
sure,
and then you let the game dictate what you think, and then you become a fan of, dude, 38. Who's this guy? I'm loving this right here. So,
well, it's also the tenuous part of what the Grizz and the Cats are facing right now in the Big Sky too, and that is that because of the resources, the fan bases, the fervor for football in Montana, the success, the tradition, the talent, all that stuff, the story of the game every single week, unless they play each other, is what did they do?
Yeah.
Did they win or did they lose? Did they play well or not? Whereas Cal Poly Idaho, it's like, who's going to win, who's going to lose? I don't know, but it's not so slanted towards like success or lack thereof.
There's a couple things that I just want to clarify. By the way, can we open the show first? I mean, we're already doing the show.
We're going back to our roots.
The show. All right, let's get through what we got to get to today, but then I want to discuss a little bit more about the college football broad landscape here. We are going to start today by listening to some sound from Coach Brent Vigen of the Montana State Bobcats from his press conference, just covering a handful of things, some quick tidbits that we'll discuss and listen to as they get ready for Utah Tech. It's also, by the way, we're 1 sleep away from high school football in the state of Montana, including.
In fact, there's a game tonight.
Oh yeah, right. One
you don't
tonight,
have sleep.
and a giant game in Washington Grizzly Stadium as well. By the way, we will also get into a little bit of the position group of the offensive line for the University of Montana, which I think is the biggest, I don't think, it's no question the biggest mystery on the offensive side of the ball in terms of what do the Grizz have, and yet it has been completely under the radar, and I think we need to get to that. And the reason we're going to talk about today is I think, A, it's important. I think people are interested in it, but also because we, at 9 o'clock, in an hour from now, will have our exclusive interview with the head coach of the Montana Grizzlies, Bobby Kennedy. And there is a little discussion, not on specifics, but just in general of the offensive line in there. But also just want to reiterate, we will have head coach Bobby Kennedy on this show every Thursday morning at 9 a.m. Again, our appreciation to him, to Eric Tabor, and to the university for facilitating that. But really looking forward to having him on week in and week out. And, man, what a great conversation that we got to have game week heading into his first ever game as a head coach of a college football team. Very generous with his time to do it, but also, I mean, you can't help but feel sort of the excitement as well as some of the, man, I got a lot to get done too, that is in there with him in this.
Well, I'm just so interested to see how, as a good friend of mine always says, it's impossible to judge how a coach really is until you see him after a hard game or after a loss. One of the two, and those two things don't necessarily have to be one and the same, but it's been really cool to see just the sort of the change in attitude, the installation of hospitality among Grizz football and Grizz athletics over the last however many months.
I wonder if there's going to be sushi at halftime now. Wouldn't that be great? Huh?
Man.
I'd be into that.
It'll be fun to have Bobby Kennedy on each week, though. But I'm also so interested to see how the arc of this goes, because it right now, taking all the obligations you can get, sowing all the goodwill you possibly can, is I'm not going to say it's easy, but it's simple, and it's also uncomplicated, and it's also necessary. But when, if you fall on a hard time, fall on a skid, how's it going? What's going on? Like, that's going to be interesting to see how it all evolves throughout the next however many 12 weeks.
I just wanted to clarify a couple things for people, because I think this is a little bit confusing here in the sort of run up here to college football. There is no week 0 as such this year,
because it's all week 0.
But this is effectively a week 0, but it's a week 1.
Sure.
But it's not a full week 1 on the national college football slate.
Right.
But it is in the Big Sky Conference. And as a result, correct me if I'm wrong on this, but this Idaho-Cal Poly game tomorrow night is national TV on ESPN.
ESPN, the Uno.
Yeah, the Uno.
Number 1.
Gave it to the Uno.
I think it's the first time Cal Poly's ever been on ESPN, which is pretty cool, actually.
As you discussed, I mean, Cal Poly's always had, what a beautiful place in general, and such a unique and cool, would you call it Art Deco style stadium? It's not quite that, but it's a very sort of Central California stucco-y feel to it.
Yeah, some Spanish influence, etc.
And now the multi-hundreds of millions of dollars John Madden upgrade to all the things, the whole facility there and the football deal. So that is going to be on display. And I can't wait to just see how it looks, because it's great for the conference, obviously, to have exposure on the Uno, but also to have that sort of beautiful venue, for people to check out. So great for the school, great for the conference, and for football and the Big Sky in general this tomorrow night.
I mean, it's what television people want. It's easy storytelling, right? I mean, if somebody's scanning the channels on a Friday night and they come across this game, there's just several easy entry points. You might have never heard of Cal Poly or San Luis Obispo, California, but you probably heard of John Madden. When they start talking about the John Madden Football Center, okay, there you go. And then, you realize, Cal Poly's had a couple. I mean, they've had some guys that played in the pros. Nick DeZubnar, the most prominent guy, the linebacker that played for the Carolina Panthers for like 10 or 11 years. And then you go on down the line, and then you get to the storytelling of Idaho and some of the stuff they've had, and then Dennis Erickson being an Idaho former head coach who went into the College Football Hall of Fame last year. So there's just easy entry points that I think could hook some people. So certainly will be fun.
And for what it's worth, on the at the FBS level, there is one top 25 team in action this Saturday. That is USC hosting San Jose State. So that's at 1 o'clock on NBC if you're looking for that. Fight on. Boys and girls, let's bring it back to the Big Sky Conference. Coulter, let's just be brief on this. If we can, do we have this in us? I don't know. We'll find out. But the University of Montana has dominated the news and the discussion and the action, if you will, over the last 6 months of football.
Yeah, I mean, I'd say probably the last 4, because Montana State had so much of the carryover from the national championship. If you're looking at like the news cycle in this calendar year, Bobcats dominated it basically through basketball season, because every basketball game was just another coronation for the Cats, right? It was whether it was Cat Grizz and them carrying the trophy around, or I'm
going to say banner. They dominated it until an impromptu press conference on a Wednesday in March.
Indeed. And then Montana has had so much change, so many different factors, so much uncertainty, all these things that so much of the conversation this offseason, there's just been way more news about the Grizz than there has been about the Cats. And I think it's a testament to the Cats' stability, right? Like, they didn't have anybody leaving. They didn't have anybody coming.
Right.
I mean, they only took 2 transfers in the entire portal, and they only had a couple guys left, and those guys only left within days after the national championship. So that news was old by the time signing day even rolled around.
The irony is, in many states, as we know, there's major rivalries, right?
Yes.
Auburn, Alabama, et cetera, Oregon State, or we could even say Oregon, Washington across that line. We all know. If one of those teams wins the national championship, it is actually the standard that the other team has more to discuss when there's not football being played. But that has, I think, been even more accentuated, to your point, the unbelievable stability at Montana State, where they're not graduating the quarterback. They're not graduating several of their best players. We talked about this last year. I think, what is it, 8 seniors that graduated from
seniors, right.
the national championship team. So at some point you go, man, fantastic. Catch you in September, and that's kind of what you'd expect. But also, we are here now. It is game week, and lest we forget, the defending national champions are still the number 1 team in the nation, and they are walking with that big stick.
Well, it's been the same storyline since basically the banner dropped at Brick Breeden Fieldhouse, and you saw it in real life, and you're like, okay, the Cats are the champions, and you did the parade and all that stuff. Since then, like, think about how many bullets that they effectively dodged. Yeah, Brett Vegan could have gone to several different places, but he could have gone to Oregon State. He didn't. He's decided to stay in Bozeman. Taco Dowler, Justin Lamson, both got big time Power 5 type, Power 4 type offers. Didn't go. On down the line, you lose your defensive coordinator, Sean Howe. He goes to the Pittsburgh Steelers. But you bring in Bobby Daly, who's already been your defensive coordinator. Yeah. So there's no transition. Like this, he just had a 1-year hiatus at UTEP and decided he didn't really like El Paso. Now he's back in the fold. But he's been the DC. Yeah. So it's the same system, same all that stuff. And again, you're right. Like, the Cats were the ones that dominated the offseason 2 years ago, because they lose a heartbreaker in the national championship, and then you turn the page from this great senior class that's built on the backs of guys from Montana like Tommy Millott and Brody Grebe and Marcus Ware. And week in and week out, how do you replace these guys? And instead, for the Cats, it's just been, here's what we got, here's what we got moving forward. And, so it hasn't been nearly as much of the speculation, the ins and the outs, the trying to figure out what the heck's going on like it has been at Montana.
Well, let's get to some sound from Brent Vegan, shall we? This is from his press conference. Obviously, game week. They're on the road at Utah Tech. They're in St. George, Utah. Beautiful area, by the way. If you haven't been, go take a drive from Cedar City to Vegas. Mm-hmm. You'll see as much change in a relatively short span of highway as you're going to come across.
The drive from Cedar City to Vegas is way better than the drive from Vegas to Cedar City, I'll tell you that.
Well, you're going to do better on your gas mileage going south, I can promise you. All right, this is a Coach Vegan on opening up with a conference game, which is obviously a very rare thing to have happen. Here's what he had to say.
Do you like having a conference opponent to start the season. What do you think of that?
Well, I think this was the best we could do within the transition, right? You had a couple teams, you lose one, the math doesn't quite work that simple. So, putting everybody in this week 0 conference game made sense, and it'll have to make sense for a couple more years. And I think, just like playing an opponent like Oregon last year opens your eyes, I think playing a conference opponent, regardless of who it is, opens your eyes right from the start. And in the game of football with 12 guaranteed games, you don't have an opportunity to kind of have a preseason and figure it out. That's not the way it works. All these games matter, and certainly all the conference games matter that much more. So I kind of do like it, and understand that this is the best way for us to move forward with a nine conference team schedule, and I do think that's helped out our league as well.
Is it easier to turn the page on last season when you're going on the road and it is a conference game, as opposed to maybe like having the celebration that is the Gold Rush? It's sort of an extension of everything that you guys have done this last offseason.
I hadn't really thought of it, but I think going on the road, and I think that does make sense. I think you're just about you, and there isn't anything extra, so to speak. I know we'll have some extra the next week. I think anytime you get a chance to go on the road and be there as a team, and we'll have a great crowd there, I'm certain. But I do think maybe with this transition, that's a positive, and we can certainly see it that way.
When you asked him, is this something you like, opening on the road in a conference game, and he said, well, it's the best we can do. Let me translate that. I hate this like poison. That's what that means. Okay, that is how you should understand what Coach Vigen said right there. Because to his point, you don't get in college football ever the preseason and the chance to actually see what you got on the field until it's for real. And the fact that the first time it's for real also has conference implications.
Yeah,
he's not loving it. Now, I will say, it's Utah Tech, man. They're going to win the football game.
Well, yeah.
So
33.5 point favorites is what the line is moved to.
That's going to be in the top 10 in the country, FCS, FBS, of in-conference spreads that we see, period. Isn't it? I mean, where are we going to see a spread like that in a same conference?
Well, I think Montana State might have like 2 or 3 spreads.
Yeah, they're going to be. You're going to be 3 or 4 of the top 10 that we see. Anyway, that's an aside. But yes, it's an interesting phenomenon, to say the least. Coach Vigen also had some words to say about a couple of his players, starting with his starting quarterback, Justin Lamson.
Coach, going into camp, you said that you hope Justin had more familiarity with the offense going into this camp. Did you see that throughout camp, and then also off the field? What can you say about his leader being elected captain?
Yeah, I think the leadership piece, I'll start there. He definitely evolved as a leader last fall. Didn't take anything for granted. I think as we were hitting the home stretch, he was clearly, a prominent leader on our offense, if not the team. And then I think he really took that to another level in this offseason. Again, his example of how he goes about things, the effort he puts in, the work habits he has, I think speaks for itself amongst his teammates. And then becoming more vocal and comfortable in that position, I think he was a fairly obvious choice for a lot of the guys to choose as a captain. As far as him growing within our scheme, I think that's been evident through the course of the off season now into fall camp. And I think he and Coach Jerbick's relationship, as far as sometimes a quarterback will say he can do everything and won't necessarily know what he likes, doesn't like, and doesn't articulate that, I guess. And I think that part of their relationship is way different than it would have been last year. I think Justin would have just done whatever, and I think Pete did a really good job of framing our offense to Justin's progression last year. While this year, I think that's a little bit more of a two-way street. I think I think he can play more nuance this year, which means it doesn't all have to exactly live within the structure. I think the type of plays that we'll see him make will be a wider variety. I think that's what our expectation is, and still, I'm at a really efficient level and chasing a real high level of him just completing the ball and letting the other guys, sometimes do the dirty work.
What do you think of that, where his expectation of Justin Lamson is to make more plays of a wider variety?
Well, the fact that what he was talking about, and Pete Sturbeck said this on this show too, Montana State offensive coordinator, is that they've gained enough trust in Lamson now where their offense is very layered. It's very much like a lot of these modern offenses where you have multiple options. Like you call a concept and then whatever you see, a lot of times you have multiple places to get to. And having a guy that's a veteran guy that can identify that and then get you into what he wants, or he knows what the check is off of what you've called, that to me is why I think, you know me, I've been very cynical and very worried about like the erosion of quality of play in the Big Sky Conference.
Indeed.
And certainly part of that stems from the fact that several of the teams that were perennially competitive, like Eastern Washington and Weber State, are not right now. That's bad for the conference. That said, having Idaho back being potentially good, but they have been good for several years. Idaho State maybe being good, that's good. NAU being back to being pretty good, that's good. The number one thing I'm so excited about in the league this year, though, is we've seen such rudimentary quarterback play because the best teams have had either, I'm not saying Tommy Malotte's play was rudimentary, but they ran a very specific system with Tommy Malott that's very different than what we've seen from traditional quarterback play. The 5 best quarterbacks in the conference this year, from last year, came back. Ty Pennington now is in 3rd year as a starter at NAU. Jordan Cook's in his 3rd year as a starter at Idaho State. Josh Wood, 2nd year as a starter. Kale Ayat, 2nd year as a starter. Justin Lamson, 2nd year as a starter. So guess what? You get to have way more diverse quarterback play.
Yeah.
A lot of this stuff where you have a system, you have continuity, you're building on it. It's going to be way more advanced, and I think it's going to make it more competitive, which is going to make it a lot more fun.
Coach Vigen also discussed his defensive end linebacker Buck Buchanan Award watch list in-state house. I think I can say that of Zach Cruz.
Our good buddy Tom Stuber, who's our beat writer covering Montana State at Skyline Sports, he has a great comparison. Do you remember Ted Hendrickson, the Stork?
No.
From the Raiders of the 70s? We were talking about John Madden. He was one of John Madden's best defensive players.
I remember John Madden.
Well, the Stork was, he was an anomaly for any time in terms of his Ted Hendricks theory. I said Ted Hendrickson. Ted Hendricks. He was a anomaly for any time, but certainly his time. He's 6'7", 230-pound defensive end, long, lanky, rangy, all that. That's what Stuber says Zach Cruz is. Cruz ain't 6'7", but he's 6'5", and he's got the long, rangy arms. So for those that don't know the story, obviously the backstory of Zach Cruz, much maligned, whatever, we don't need to get into that, but the fact that he has now reached his 5th-year senior status and that he's a preseason All-Big Sky guy, a team captain, etc., I asked Brett Vigen just about that evolution.
You talked about your captains, but Zach Cruz just getting bestowed that honor and just given the journey he's been through, but also the great player he's always been, and sort of those natural leadership stuff he's always had inside him. What's it like for you as a coach to see a guy sort of come out now as a 5th-year senior and sort of embrace and also get the opportunity to lead a team that I know he's probably wanted to lead for a long time?
Yeah. Zach's story is Zach's story, and there's certainly there were some obstacles along the way that I think allowed him to prove who he really is. From day one being here, he's been nothing short of about the team, about the opportunity, working his tail off. I think all those things ultimately, prepare you to be this guy towards the tail end of your career that can be looked up to. His ability to speak and get after guys is, it's maybe something he's never not had, but I think he's also recognized that this is the moment for him too, in this off season in particular. So, he's a pretty special story. I think just his growth here, him taking the opportunity we gave him and running with it, and knowing that he was going to be held to a really high standard, and he was going to be looked upon to be held to a really high standard, and he's lived up to that. I have no hesitation saying that, and beyond being a leader this year, he's poised to have, I think, a tremendous year on the field, and couldn't be more happy for him. But I think you get into coaching to I don't know if you realize it right away, but you're about trying to help young men out, and I look at that transition going back a few years ago with Zach. That's what it was about. But there was also belief that he would become what he's become, and that's credit to him being able to do that, and real excited about what he has brought to this team over the years and what he'll continue to in his senior year.
So much has been made about his toughness and his very apparent athletic skills, but he's also like an incredibly smart guy. Right? I mean, he's valedictorian of his high school. Yeah. And I'm pretty sure he's still got pretty close to perfect grades now. So how much do you think that sort of acumen, though, impacts him as a football player and just the way he operates? Yeah,
very well-rounded. So super competitive, intelligent, competitively intelligent. I think, certainly understands the game. I think his role with us has evolved. He, if he could be a guy that could play on all four special teams, I mean, he would be a terror. We've kept him on one the last couple of years, but so those roles super important to him. He's done them to he's performed them to a really high level, and then defensively, it has been a transition for him, like the rest of our D linemen, like I spoke to earlier, where his ability to go get the ball was apparent from the start, but really being able to play within the scheme and understanding that, I think, speaks to his intelligence, and then his commitment to being a 240-pound plus guy. That's been a challenge for him too. He's a lean, wiry guy that is continue to be committed just in all ways, and probably the intelligence piece comes in there too, of figuring out, okay, how can I get to this place where I can be best conditioned, the size, the strength, all those things. So yeah, the well-rounded nature of Zach is why he's as successful as he has been, and definitely will be this fall.
So there you go, Coach Brent Vigen on a number of players and just getting ready for conference play again at Utah Tech. Also worth noting, we've discussed this a little bit before, but the high in St. George today, 104, tomorrow 102, and Saturday 99. Now
it's gone down.
They've moved the kick back too, right? You were saying on this
8 o'clock now. So it started at 6.
It won't be 99 degrees when they kick it off, but also 18-mile-an-hour winds, which in that stadium especially, which is pretty open, is going to affect what they got going on. I don't know. By the time, a lot of times that wind will calm down in the evening a little bit, so maybe it won't be so bad by the time they finally get around to playing the game. But it's a dry heat, but it's still hot, baby, down there. So,
good buddy Andre Patterson, who's a new contributor here at ESPN Radio, he will join me at 4 o'clock today on Nuanez Now. We'll talk all things NFL, but we did talk a little bit about this, and he had a great story. And you can hear it later on, but about when he was coaching in Denver and them going to Miami and playing in a game where it was 99 but 80% humidity, and he said everybody's going down. You got to get IVs at halftime, whatever. But Andre was chuckling. He said the fact that Southern Utah moved the kick, Delane Fitzgerald or Utah Tech moved the kick. The head coach must have not had much of a say in this, because if he did, he'd say, no, we're playing at 3.
Yeah, move it up.
We practice at 2:30 every day. We're used to this. Yeah. Let's let the Montana State boys come down here and die.
Now, here's the thing. It's not like it's cold in Montana in the summer either.
No, it's not, but it's a totally different type of heat.
Well, it is.
This kick getting moved, though, is not because of the players. This is because of the fans. They're trying to get people to go to the game.
Yes.
If it's 104 degrees in St. George at 3 o'clock in the afternoon, you're just going to stay home and watch it in your air conditioning, right?
If it's 95, I'm staying at home.
That's right. So they're trying to get some more people through the door. But this will be, I don't know. I think that I can see it a whole bunch of different ways. But I just think if you're playing at home against a lesser team like Butler, like the Cats will do next week again in the Gold Rush, I still don't know if that's as good of a test as I don't think. Again, the Cats are 33.5-point favorites. Utah Tech's not. not going to be that much resistance, but I do think having to go and experience some factors that might cause adversity is good for you if you're Montana State.
No question. It is Tootell Nuanez. It is 102.9 ESPN Radio. We are getting closer to kickoff, and the closest kickoff that we have is in high school football tonight, and we are going to talk about that. The opening game in the AA slate this evening, Bozeman at Hellgate. We'll talk about that and preview the rest of the high school slate as we head into the best season of the year. That's football. We'll do that next.
Jewelry Design Center. We want to be your jeweler for life.
Bring the whole family to the Stone of Accord for a wonderful brunch. From traditional comfort food to eclectic specials, there's something for everyone to enjoy. And it wouldn't be a proper Missoula brunch without an Irish coffee and a mimosa. The Stone of Accord, Irish fare with Montana flair. Restaurant, liquor store, and casino. At the Stone of Accord, we use the freshest ingredients to create our homemade traditional Irish classics, fresh salads, and creative specials. Come enjoy our warm, family-friendly atmosphere. The Stone of Accord, Irish fare with Montana flair. Restaurant, liquor store, and casino.
ESPN Missoula Sports Center.
Montana High School football officially gets underway Thursday night with the first night of competition for the 2026 season taking place across the Treasure State. Hello, I am Hayden Smith. In Missoula, Hellgate opens its season at home against Bozeman. The Knights will look to replace several key players from last year, including Grisbound standouts Evan Pyron and Parker Link, along with All-State quarterback Vince Paffhausen, who is now at Montana Tech. Bozeman went 6-5 last season, beating Hellgate 38-7 in the first round of the playoffs before falling 42-7 to eventual state champion Kalispell Glacier. Also in Class AA, Helena travels to Billings to take on Skyview in another Thursday night opener. The Bengals started last season 5-2, but dropped 3 of their final 4 games, including a 17-9 loss to Hellgate and a 21-14 playoff loss to Great Falls. Elsewhere Thursday night, Fergus travels to Columbia Falls in a matchup featuring 2 programs expected to be competitive again this fall. Rocky Boy takes on Centerville while Plentywood hosts Grenora. The rest of the state gets underway Friday night, highlighted by a rematch of last year's Class AA state championship game. Billings West, the defending runner-up, travels to take on defending champion Kalispell Glacier. The two teams met twice last season, with the Wolfpack coming out on top both times. In Class A, defending champion Frenchtown opens on the road against Bidford. Defending Class B champion Manhattan hosts Anaconda, while defending 8-man champion Scobie opens at Poplar. And in 6-man, there's a rematch of last year's state championship game, with Chester traveling to Grass Range.
This ESPN Missoula Sports Center is presented by Canyon River Golf Club. Tootell Nuanez on 102.9 ESPN Radio for Missoula.
Open with the Black Keys, roll it into the Black Keys.
It's one of my big regrets.
Not going to this show?
Yeah, I didn't go. I can't remember what happened. It's like the only time I've canceled a plan in my life.
Well, Sample and I had a great time.
I know you did.
An absolutely great time.
Speaking of this, great endurance and fortitude by everybody last night at the Kettle House Amphitheater. So Mount Joy came to town last night. Mount Joy has quickly built up a big-time following in Missoula. Yeah. They played at the Zootown Festival 2 years ago and then have been a high demand to get back. So this was a very popular show. Obviously, with college back in session, there was a whole bunch of young people there. It was great.
And there was a natural light show yesterday evening.
So we get there. It's not even doors till 8. So we're like, oh, that's cool. There must be no opener. That's great. We're going to get like 3 hours, 2.5, 3 hours of Mount Joy. It's just going to be them, which we were very much excited about. Get there, about 7:50, waiting in line. Lightning. Mm-hmm. All of a sudden, evacuation. Yeah. Everybody's running towards the tap house there at the amphitheater.
Yeah.
Of course, it's after 8, so the poor lady has to get on the megaphone and say, you guys can all hang out in here, but we can't serve any more beer because of the tap room rules. And so, they could have sold $1 million worth of beer last night, and they couldn't. So then we sat around. But when I did make the comment of endurance, lightning came and passed, but then another storm, you could see it on the Doppler coming in. Yeah. So pretty much everybody went and sat in their cars, but nobody left. They're just ready to go as soon as it was called off. And we're all like, well, how long do we go? How long do we wait? Well, then 9:34 rolls around. You get the text. They says 15 minutes, Mount Joy's going on, 9:50. So we're like, we got to go. So we get up there, and they actually got everybody in pretty quick. Mount Joy went on the stage at exactly 10 o'clock. They knew that they were on a short timeline. So, they're kind of a jammy band.
Yeah.
They did not get stuck or go on and on for 8-10 minutes each song. Nope. They played every boom, boom, boom. They must have played 17 songs in an hour.
We got to learn from them.
I saw everything that I wanted to see, and I watched an hour and 4 minutes of the concert, and boom, back in the car, and so great. It was great.
I went to Alabama Shakes.
Very good. They're awesome.
Amazing.
Yeah.
It started on time, paused in the middle due to lightning. 30-minute, come back, another 20 minutes, stop again, send them off, and each time there's a little attrition in the crowd because they had played, so that people felt like they had seen it. Man, Tina and I stayed till the end. That was some high vibes rolling into midnight or whatever it was by the time we got into the few closing songs, and we might have found ourselves a few rows closer than what our tickets originally had said, given the clearing out. What a great night. Okay, enough about that. Coulter, it is high school football season officially today. It's time for our high school football preview. It is brought to us by Rhino Fireplaces. Bozeman at Hellgate tonight. That's one of 4 games on the docket, including 2 AA games, the other one being Helena at Skyview. And you have gotten Andre Patterson, again, for the people who don't know, a lifer, an absolute lifer in the NFL, primarily as a defensive line coach, primarily in Minnesota, but
had stints with the Cowboys, Broncos, Browns, Giants. So he coached, about a fifth of the league. So he's been around to a lot of places.
But if you don't recall, Andre Patterson played for the Montana Grizzlies along with Marty Morningwig in 1982. Okay, went all over, married a gal from Montana, and ultimately if I might. This is probably the only legitimate comparison that I will ever have with Andre Patterson. Found himself coming back to Montana again. And this is so cool, a guy like that. He's doing color commentary for high school football games. This is amazing, right?
Yeah. So we have a fun excerpt from Andre Patterson's interview that I did with him that we'll play on Nuanez Now today, but that's about the NFL. So just a couple minutes to talk here about the opening of high school football season. Yeah. Certainly, it's going to be fascinating to see in Double A because I do think that there's one front-running contender in Billings West, but then I think there's a whole bunch of other secondary contenders, and I think it includes Kalispell Glacier, Missoula Sentinel, and Missoula Big Sky. So I think it's going to be fun for the teams out west. I think the battle for the West is going to be fascinating to see who can then go challenge Billings West. I do think Gallatin in the East will challenge them, but also that's why it's interesting that Bozeman High is in town tonight, because Bozeman High was riding as high as anybody during the last decade and a half until Gallatin opened up, right? Bozeman had the city of Bozeman had the distinction of being the largest one high school town in Montana. Right. They get another high school, and it's impacted it. It definitely has. I mean, the Hawks won 5 state championships before in the span of 11 years before Gallatin opened. Well, now Gallatin's open. They've both been good still. They've both still been in the playoffs, but neither Bozeman school has gone to the championship since Gallatin opened. And that's left it a little bit more open in the East for Billings West. And now that I think the battle out west has to involve those 3 schools I named, but you have to also think Helena Capital will be back in a big way too. Capital, the state champion 2 years ago. Then they were decimated by injuries last year. They only won 2 games. That is like a once every 25 years occurrence for Helena Capital to be a 2-win team, so you have to think they're going to be back too. But it's going to be fun tonight to see, because Hellgate also has some intrigue. They've been better. I mean, you're talking 2 or 3 wins instead of 0. Yeah. But that's better. I mean, the playoffs is 12 teams now. Hellgate made the playoffs last year. I mean, they won a game on the last night of the year to get into the 12-team playoff. And sure, they lost in the first round, but like that is progress. It is Hellgate. Progress. Yeah. Like, you're winning your last game and getting to play another game. Like that's good for Hellgate. But they do have to replace Vince Paffhausen, who was the one of the standout players in the Shrine game this last year. He's at Montana Tech. He was their great quarterback. And then, of course, the 2 guys that are playing for the Grizz, Evan Pyron, Parker Link. I mean, that's good talent that's leaving Hellgate. So how do they replace those guys? What are the numbers like? I don't know. But then for Bozeman, Bozeman was sort of mid last year, and that's not what the Hawks are used to, especially under longtime head coach Levi Wesche. So it'll be just a good unveiling for both of these teams tonight. This, though, is a present from me to you. I'm so excited about the reason we're playing Andre Patterson around high school football is Andre will be on the call tonight on SWX for the Hellgate Bozeman game. So that'll be fun. You can check him out. You can also check him out on my daily show, Nuanez Now. That'll be your 4 o'clock hour, all hour, talking all things NFL. But I thought this was an interesting excerpt that is very pertinent to you and your interests. Share it.
To me, the wild card in this whole thing is Kyler Murray.
No question.
Right? But we all know Minnesota's good on defense.
Yep.
Their defense causes issues.
Totally.
Okay, there's no question about that. We know Minnesota has 3 good receivers and a great tight end and a good running back.
A couple pretty good running backs.
Yeah, so we know that. If Kyler Murray goes back to being the player he was in his early years in Arizona, Minnesota could take off like wildfire now.
Yep.
Okay? When Kyler first got there, he had a receiver that was in his prime who just went in the Hall of Fame.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, totally. When he had Larry Fitzgerald.
Yeah, just went in the Hall of Fame. Now, the funny thing, Larry Fitzgerald was our ball boy when I was coaching.
Because Larry Fitzgerald's old man worked at the Minnesota newspaper forever.
Yeah, forever. So, great guy. He was a great man, But anyway, so Kyler Murray had Fitz as his receiver.
Yeah.
And we went in there and we played them in Arizona. And it was the most back and forth. And we were the number 1 ranked defense in the league. It was the most back and forth game you've ever want to see. We find a way to go up by 6 with about a minute and something to go in the game. And this kid made plays that were unbelievable, And so if he goes back to that, which I still think he has, he just didn't have talent anymore around him in Arizona. But if he plays like that guy, Minnesota's offense is going to take off, and they've got a great defense already. So I see that there with them. I think Green Bay is the safe bet.
Totally.
Okay, so
Green Bay to me was one of the biggest underachievers in the NFL last year. You make the Micah Parsons trade, you have what you have on defense, you have a good young quarterback that seems to be on the rise, had the big playoff win against the Cowboys a couple of years ago, and then they kind of fell flat last year.
Right. No, to me, they're the safe team. I don't see them. Like we talked about, Minnesota could have a chance to hit a home run if Murray pays out.
Yeah.
I don't see that with Green Bay. I think Green Bay is going to be your steady team. You know, they're going to win 3, lose 2. You know, that course through the 17 games of the season. I think they're the safe team. If somebody gets hot, they're going to run away from Green Bay.
Yeah.
If they all kind of beat each other up, then I can see Green Bay standing on the top at the end. Okay, Chicago, I think Chicago goes back to what we talked about with Jacksonville and what we talked about with the old Rams, right? Mm-hmm. Okay, new head coach comes in. They've been down for a lot of years. Yeah. There's a lot of good young talent there. And he took it and he ran with it. Okay, well now it's going to be how well during the offseason that the coaches in that division study that quarterback to make things more difficult for him. Because, you know, he put a cape on his back a bunch of times last year to win games too.
When you watch Caleb Williams, I just can't help but think, one, how spectacular he is to watch, but also how he has so much erratic to him.
No question.
And you just wonder, like, when is he going to stop getting away with it? Like, he'll make some throws where you're like, are you kidding me?
No question.
Like, why did you even choose to throw it there? But it'll get through. But, like, it's a law of averages. At some point, that's going to catch up to you, and all of a sudden, you're going to throw 2 pick sixes and lose the game.
We played him in Chicago last year, right? And in the first half, okay, he must have left the cape in the locker room, right? Because he threw us 2 interceptions.
Yeah.
I think we sacked him 4 times.
Yeah.
I mean, we're getting after him.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? They're having a hard time stopping our offense. And I think when the fourth quarter hit, I think we were up by like 16 points or something like that. And he put the cape on, and he put the team on his back, and he made some plays that were out of this world. You know, and they came back and beat us. And he did that to several teams through the course of the season. So he's the real deal. But now the defensive coaches have 17 games, you know, of film to work. So it's going to be interesting to see how that plays out this year.
Do me a favor. No more presents, okay? I don't want presents from you.
You just don't like the reality of this situation.
I love the reality of the situation.
You disagree with Andre's takes?
The Packers are not going to win 3 and lose 2. They're going to win 3 and lose 0, and then they're just going to do that 5 times in a row.
So there's between me and you. I can accurately analyze the team that I like.
Well, you know that
you're blinded by your love.
I'm kidding about that. But you talked about the Micah Parsons trade without actually referencing that he tore his ACL.
Well, sure.
Okay. Well, what I mean. Okay, so it's not falling flat.
Wouldn't
Tucker
you say
Kraft goes down?
Sure, but they still should have been better than they were last year.
They should have beat Chicago in the playoffs.
The day that
for sure.
The day the Packers traded for Micah Parsons, you called me screaming about how they were going to never lose another game
which they would not have. Which they would not have lost another game. So, you know, I do agree with. I mean, I think that Kyler Murray is the biggest wild card in the NFC North. But listen, this ain't an NFL segment.
It is not.
This is a high school segment. By the way, you were mentioning the change to Bozeman with the opening of Gallatin,
sure.
But also Belgrade, for what it's worth, is a AA school now. Also, is it not?
Indeed, it is.
So
6 miles away.
Not that, I mean, Belgrade's been around forever, but also there's just, you know, now there's essentially 3 schools when there had been 1 forever in the qualification. So it's worth noting. Tonight, though, SWX Television. You could check it out. The Hellgate Knights hosting Bozeman on SWX TV, and Andre Patterson will be on the call, which will be great fun to have. It's Tootell Nuanez, it's ESPN Radio, and this high school football preview is brought to us by Rhino Fireplaces.
Good new friends at Rhino Fireplaces. They're taking their showroom on the road. They have a new mobile showroom so they can show you all the different fireplaces that they have for sale. They also are experts when it comes to repairing fireplaces as well. You can catch Rhino Fireplaces on the road, and they're distributing in their new locations, Kalispell, Helena, and Great Falls, as well as here in Missoula, where they started over the 20 years ago. They'll be at one of our ESPN College game days with the mobile showroom, so we'll let you know on which one we decide on, but that should be fun as well. So come check out the showroom, see what Rhino Fireplaces is all about. Rhino Fireplaces bring the showroom to you all fall long.
The biggest mystery in the University of Montana football team offensively is the offensive line. We will unveil that mystery next.
Les Schwab changed the tire game more than 70 years ago. Today, we still believe you should get more from less. Like more hustle, less hassle. More of the best service around, less of the runaround. Because we include America's best tire warranty in every tire we sell. So you get more unbeatable warranty, less charging you extra. It's why we're more than proud to say, you get more from less.
Jewelry Design Center. We want to be your jeweler for life.
I started in the journalism school, and then I went on to being the student photographer for the marketing department. Now I'm at my internship at the Portland Trailblazers. The professional network at UM has been everything for me. The connections you're going to build are like nothing you can get on your own. They gave me the skills I need to be successful here, and they gave me the network that I need to move forward in my career. Montana is a great place to learn how to be a photographer.
Nuanez on 102.9 ESPN Radio for Missoula.
Welcome back. Tootell Nuanez, 102.9 ESPN Radio. Rolling downhill through hour number 1 on this Thursday. Great to be with you. Thanks for being with us. The phone number, 406-888-1029, 406-102-8889, 888-1029. There it is. By the way, tomorrow we will be doing our very first crowd sound ever. The voicemails have been coming in. They have been beautiful. Please feel free to call. Leave us a voicemail. Tell us where you're at, whether it's with the show, whether it's football season, whether it's something else entirely. We don't care. We're happy to hear from you. We've heard from a lot of you. We will play from some of you, and if you make it on the air, you will be receiving a prize pack from our friends at Alpine Touch. So go ahead and give us a call, 406-888-1029, and leave us a voicemail on the Tootell Nuanez answering machine. Coulter, there's 5 men playing football on the offensive line on any given football team, and all 5 of the starters on the 2 deep that is now out for the University of Montana are brand new to the University of Montana. And as you have been at practice, as you've looked at these guys, and we are going to hear, by the way, at the top of the hour from the head coach of the University of Montana, Bobby Kennedy, who references like, hey, man, one of the things that I felt like we needed was some work on the offensive line. Well, it's not work on the offensive line. It is an entirely new, absolutely from the ground up group. What we're going to see for the first time Saturday night. Where are you at with this group of guys who are going to be playing together for the first time and going to be playing for Montana for the first time?
Well, I'm a big believer in the continuity of an offensive line unit being the most important factor for the position group. Mm-hmm. Therefore, I think that if you have a group of 5 guys that have gone through similar shared experiences, similar hard times, similar growing pains, that's the best way to do things. That's why I thought the way that the last staff was operating was so flawed. Sure, they were bringing in, I mean, nobody in the FCS has brought in higher level of FBS drop-down offensive line talent than Montana over the last 8 years. Nobody. But that doesn't mean Montana's had the best offensive line. The best offensive lines have been the teams that have recruited the guys from high school and developed them through and let guys take their lumps and grow on the field. That's not what Montana's been doing. They've been getting guys from everywhere from Nebraska to Cal to Central Michigan and everywhere in between to sort of be plug-and-play guys. And again, you're going to get an individually high level of talent, but you're going to have a new offensive line unit every year, even if you like last year they had 6 seniors, but that was not a veteran unit that played together a whole bunch of times. They're all new playing with each other. Now this is I don't know. I think they're going to have major growing pains early, but this is the way that, in my opinion, you should do this. You pick an offensive line and you let them grow together. You have guys. I mean, they could have been farther ahead if they. I would have done what they're doing right now with Tornjeski at left tackle and Austin Beeler at right tackle. I would have done that 2 years ago. When those guys were redshirt freshmen, I would have thrown them out there and let them take their lumps. Because now you'd have a 3rd and 4th year starter that had played with each other for 30-plus games if you would have done that years ago. Can't go backtracking and rewrite history, but I do think that the way that Montana is doing this now is, I think, the way you should do it. And I also think the other biggest difference maker here is I think they have a significant upgrade at their offensive line coach. I think Brent Myers is a heck of a coach. He coached, I think, 6 NFL guys and 10 All-Americans at Weber State. So he knows how to develop guys. And he said he loves this style. Get a unit and roll them out there and let them take their lumps and then let them grow together and let them come what they can become.
For what it's worth, there's 2 seniors, 2 juniors, and then a grad transfer in there. So it's a senior group in terms of their age, and also in terms of their size, which you would expect. But like you said, it's all about continuity and playing together, which we will find out a lot about on Saturday night in Missoula. We'll take a break. Hour number 1 in the books. On the other side, very happy to get to sit down and talk exclusively with the new head coach, who is, well, yeah, we can still say new, right? Can't we?
He hasn't coached the game yet, so.
The head coach of the Montana Grizzly football team, Bobby Kennedy, up next right after this.
Life can change in an instant. If you've been hurt in an accident, suffered from medical negligence, or are facing criminal charges, you don't have to face it alone. At Ryan Miller & Coburn, we're here to listen and fight for you. We're your neighbors, traveling across Montana to stand by your side as your link to justice. Real people, real help, right here in Montana. Ryan Miller & Coburn, your Montana attorneys.
DeMorris Buick GMC is ready to help you safely travel Montana's scenic roads in comfort and style. Stop by DeMorris today and test drive some outstanding SUVs. Right now, take advantage of closeout pricing on the exceptionally designed 2024 Buick Envision with models starting at $39,795. Don't miss this opportunity. Go to DeMorris.com to preview our inventory of 2024 Buick Envisions and then pay a visit to DeMorris Buick GMC on West Broadway in Missoula, your family-owned hometown dealership for over 60 years.
Around here, we see a lot of people head out. No matter where they're going, we just make sure they're ready. Before you hit the road, get a pre-trip safety check at Les Schwab Tires. It's free. Plus, this May, save up to $200 on select sets of 4 tires.
If we can't guarantee it, we won't sell it.
Life's about the journey, not the destination, right? Why can't it be about both?
ESPN Radio for Western Montana, KKVU HD3 Stevensville, and 102.9 FM on K275BS Missoula. ESPN Missoula Sports Center.
Montana High School football officially gets underway Thursday night with the first night of competition for the 2026 season taking place across the Treasure State. Hello, I am Hayden Smith. In Missoula, Hellgate opens its season at home against Bozeman. The Knights will look to replace several key players from last year, including Grisbound standouts Evan Pyron and Parker Link, along with All-State quarterback Vince Paffhausen, who is now at Montana Tech. Bozeman went 6-5 last season, beating Hellgate 38-7 in the first round of the playoffs before falling 42-7 to eventual state champion Kalispell Glacier. Also in Class AA, Helena travels to Billings to take on Skyview in another Thursday night opener. The Bengals started last season 5-2, but dropped 3 of their final 4 games, including a 17-9 loss to Hellgate and a 21-14 playoff loss to Great Falls. Elsewhere Thursday night, Fergus travels to Columbia Falls in a matchup featuring 2 programs expected to be competitive again this fall. Rocky Boy takes on Centerville, while Plentywood hosts Grenora. The rest of the state gets underway Friday night, highlighted by a rematch of last year's Class AA state championship game. Billings West, the defending runner-up, travels to take on defending champion Kalispell Glacier. The 2 teams met twice last season, with the Wolfpack coming out on top both times. In Class A, defending champion Frenchtown opens on the road against Bidford. Defending Class B champion Manhattan hosts Anaconda, while defending 8-man champion Scobie opens at Poplar. And in 6-man, there's a rematch of last year's state championship game, with Chester traveling to Grass Range.
This ESPN Missoula Sports Center is presented by Canyon River Golf Club.
Shine, Sleeping Beauty. Come on, hop, hop, hop.
Where is the coffee?
You want me to fill you up?
Please, please, to the top, to the top, to the top. Thank you.
You're welcome.
It's already hour number 2. I don't even remember hour number 1.
I don't even remember entering this room.
Well, buddy, you and I are on the same page. You ready?
Yeah, hour number 2. Let's do it.
Welcome back to Tootell Nuanez. If you missed anything in the first hour, listen to the podcast, available on all your favorite podcasting platforms. Now, broadcasting live from the Grizzly Disposal Studios, here are your hosts, Ryan Tootell and Colter Nuanez.
Football season. We are running straight downhill, headlong into it. Something just feels right, Colter. Just waiting for it to cool off a little bit, you know what I mean? I'm one of those types of folks where the better I look with more clothes on, you know? So the colder we can make it, it just keeps my
Would you rather be like that or the opposite?
That's a great question.
It's the opposite.
No, I don't think so, man. Because, especially in Montana, you got to have a lot of layers for at least half the year. So it's not, I look great all the time. I'm not saying it's not great when there's less clothes. I'm just saying it's even better when there's more clothes.
What happened to your Boogie Nights glasses?
They're out there. I got them.
Got a loyal listener that shall remain nameless, but he says those are your Boogie Nights glasses every time you wear them.
Okay, well, some people have different points of reference in their life than others. Okay, I just call them sunglasses, but they could do what they wish with that. All I know is, there's no way you can mess this up, but it is possible to accentuate it.
Sure,
and that's what I do. Okay, high level fashion, high level good looks. It's Tootell Nuanez, 102.9 ESPN Radio. If you want to call, please feel free. Leave us a voicemail, 406-888-1029, 406-888-1029, the phone number. We will be doing our first ever crowd sound tomorrow, and we want to hear from you, okay? What are you thinking and feeling as you get ready for football in the state of Montana and beyond, but particularly the Grizz and the Cats? Maybe you got high school stuff. Maybe, as seems to be a theme, you just want to talk about Coulter and I on this show.
That's the brilliance of modern day audio-based media, right?
Yeah.
Everybody just wants to hang out with you.
406-888-1029. We'll be happy to hear from you. And again, if you make it on air tomorrow, you're going to get a prize pack from our friends at Alpine Touch. So go ahead and give us a call and do that. Coulter, very happy to have the first installment of a new weekly segment, really interview that we will be doing with the head coach of the Grizzlies, Bobby Kennedy, here today. We'll be doing it at 9 o'clock every Thursday morning throughout the course of the football season. So, again, we're grateful to Coach Kennedy and the athletics department at the university for facilitating this for us. Let's just play it, and then we'll talk about it. How does that sound? Here you go. For heading into his first game as a head coach at the college football level, here is Bobby Kennedy.
We're very excited about this, the debut of something new. We're very excited to have this for you each and every week here throughout football season. It is our Brawl of the Wild Coach's Corner. We'll be checking in with both sides of the rivalry, get things going now with the not-so-new, but first-year head coach at the University of Montana, Bobby Kennedy. He's been on this show several times already, but happy to have him here in the throes of football season. Coach, I know it's a super busy week, so we appreciate you for taking some time. How's it going?
It's going good. It has been a busy week. Game week is here. Wow. Right? It's been a million miles an hour doing a lot of different things, obviously preparing for the game. But just, the schedule, getting used to things in terms of how everything goes every week is, it's been a little different for me. So I'm not breaking down as much film and drawing as many cards. So, so that's a good thing. But there's a lot of other obligations that I have to handle.
Well, how do you go about sort of knowing all the obligations, but also executing all the obligations? Because it's a big seat to fill, especially when there is so much hype around your program and there's so much passion for football in Missoula and around the state of Montana. So what's it been like sort of diving in and managing all the exterior things, from radio shows to media exposure to press conferences to all the different factors that go into being the head coach?
Yeah, it's been interesting. It's been a whirlwind. But I've got good people like Eric Tabor to keep me grounded and keep me on track. And also, I've said this, I think we have a really good staff. I know we have a really good staff. And I trust Brent Pease and Eric Sanders and also Chris White, but also our entire coaching staff. And so for me to be able to do these things, because obviously, whether it be a radio show with you, TV show, the quarterback club event, we have good people here in the building, and so it allows me to do this other stuff.
Coach, when it comes to being a first-year head coach, just over the last 6 months, I'm sure that there's been a vision of what it might be like to be the head coach of a football team. And now that you have been that, what has been the thing or things that maybe were different than you thought they would be as you now are sitting in that seat?
Yeah, I just think the gravity of it in terms of, not only dealing with your position, right? Now it's the entire team. Now it's the training room staff. Now it's the equipment staff. I'm going to walk our practice field this morning because there's some things that I want to make sure we get squared away with our practice field, right? It's the organization of, going from the River Bowl practice into the stadium, how much is too much in the stadium, how much isn't enough. It's just kind of thinking of the big picture things that you have to handle every day. It's meeting with the trainers every day about different guys and their aches and nicks. So it's time consuming. And then I've said this before to you all, and I'm sure every head coach has gone through this. Everybody always comes in your office and says, "Hey, do you have a couple minutes?" Well, those couple minutes turn into 15 and 20 minutes, and you have your list that you have to get done that day. But the thing that I've always said about when you sit in this chair, people come in with problems that they need fixed, and at that point, it's the most important thing to them, right? And so part of my job is to help them figure out those situations and hopefully ease their burden a little bit and solve those issues.
Bobby Kennedy joining us here on Tootell Nuanez and on ESPN Radio. At what point in your life and in your career did you know that you wanted to be a head coach? Has this been something you've dreamed about ever since you first got into coaching, or is this in the latter half of your career? When did you first know you wanted to be a head coach?
Well, I always thought that if you did a good job, coached your position well, recruited well, that opportunities would come. And I've had a chance before to be a head coach. I was offered 2 jobs. I turned down those jobs. I interviewed 4 times, didn't get the other 2, and I was disappointed in that. But also, I thought it had to be the right fit. And I've said this about Montana and me ascending to this role, that there's some things that we have to fix. Some things that on a daily basis that I'm like, gosh, whether it be certain personnel group or who's going to play this position, that position, who's playing better, who's not living up to their maybe ability or potential. But I always knew I wanted to be in this role, but I also wanted it to be the right situation. And the 2 jobs that I was offered in the past, I thought those places were broken. The 2 jobs that I didn't get, I thought that there were some things that needed to be fixed, but I thought I could fix those with good support. And then I get this Montana job and become the Grizz head coach. And the great thing is, we won 13 games last year. We had a bunch of good players coming back. But still, there's always issues that come up. But yeah, I've wanted to be a head coach, and I'm very fortunate to be a head coach at the University of Montana.
Coach, you mentioned the 13 wins last year. You take over 6 months ago, and unequivocally, man, you have sown so much goodwill into this community, into this fan base with yourself and your team, and giving people the 2 minutes that turns into 15 minutes, including a couple of dudes on the radio over here. So we appreciate that. But also, you're not taking over a bottom-dwelling program. You're taking over what is now the number 2 team in the nation, and that comes with a ton of pressure and expectation that other jobs really probably don't have at that level. What has been your experience of that, and how do you carry that now going into the season?
Yeah, so first of all, I would say that, number one, to be able to take over a program like the University of Montana that has such a great tradition. And I always talk about Coach Houck and Coach Glenn, Coach Delaney, Coach Dennehy. I mean, there have been great coaches that have sat in this chair. And, it's not broken. But there were also some things that maybe I thought as the head coach that not necessarily that we needed to fix, but maybe address, right? When you think about, we have 24 transfer portal guys, right, that came into our program. How do you integrate them into your program, into your culture? So that was a thing that was forefront on my mind, right when I took this job. Then the other thing is, then you add 20 new freshmen, right? How do you incorporate them? And so, even though, people know that we have our quarterback coming back, Peyton Wing and Solo and Brooks Davis and all these guys, there were some things on the offensive line. I feel good about where we're headed on the offensive line. I feel good where we're headed on the defensive line. But there's always issues that come up. And really what I talked to the team about this yesterday is that there are great expectations in this program, and we should embrace that. But also you have to understand we haven't earned anything yet. We haven't played a game. Those, preseason ranking and things like that, that's just like a pretty dress, right, that we haven't earned. So every game that hopefully I'm not wearing a pretty dress, okay? But my point is, like we've got to go out and show that we're worthy, number one, of that ranking, and it starts game by game. I know that sounds cliche-ish, but the thing is, we've got to earn it every week, and that's kind of the way that I've tried to approach becoming the head coach at the University of Montana. Is every day, what's best for our team, what's best for our program, how am I going to earn it, and then hopefully that's rubbed off on the players as well.
Bobby Kennedy joining us here on ESPN Radio. So since you have had this in your mind for a long time, have you imagined this moment? Have you gone through it in your head, sort of manifesting what walking out the tunnel is going to be like, what being on the the headset for the first couple series is going to be like?
Well, yeah, obviously, right, you think running into Washington Grizzly Stadium, wow, what an honor, right? I mean, place is going to be packed. Our fans are great. It's going to be a little bit surreal, but then the real stuff starts, right? It's the game management stuff that, when do you take timeouts, kill the clock, like all those different things. So those are the things that I've been rehearsing in my mind, trying to get ready for different situations. And I've got a really good guy helping me with some of those things, Corey Edsel. I brought him in from Stanford. That we go over different tapes and different situations all the time. But also, like I said, I really believe we have a really good staff, and they've taken a lot of the burden off me. But it's going to be a special moment as the head coach. It was special last year as an assistant when I went in. I didn't know what I was getting into when I went into Washington Grizzly Stadium for the first time last year. And you can see pictures and you can see videos and stuff like that. But it's such a great environment, and our fans are so passionate. It's going to be exciting. I know that.
Well, last one for me, Coach, and specifically, I want to kind of dial into your role in game. Starting here, you got Coach Peeves running the offense, Coach Sanders running the defense. You're managing clocks, situations, referees, I suppose. But what is your role throughout the game itself? Like, are you got veto power? Are you giving guys, hey, this is what we need to do here or that? Or you kind of take the reins off and look at other stuff? How do you manage that?
Yeah, like I said, before, I trust Brent and I trust Eric and also Chris White, but there are going to be some things that we talk in between series that, hey, next series on offense, if we cross the 40-yard line, we might go for it on 4 downs. Okay, hey, Chris, instead of kicking it to a good returner, let's punt it out of bounds, right? Let's try to pin them back. Just really managing the game and also being there for the players and encouraging them, getting on them when I need to do that. But I want to be a resource, but I also want to, with the offense and the defensive coaches, the one thing I don't want is at any time panic on our sideline, right? Let's have a plan. Let's execute that plan. Let's trust the plan. And so that's really the way I'm going to handle it. And I know there's going to be things that come up that maybe are unexpected, but we've got to handle those situations just like players. So yeah, I'm not going to be a guy that's going to be like, Brent calls a play and I'm like, no, I don't like that, right? We'll talk about things in between series. And, hey, what's next for this, what's best for this next drive? Same thing with the defense. How do we play off each other? We have a staff meeting the day of the game, and we talk about, those different situations. Do we need to throw it more? Do we need to run it more? What does it look like before half, right? If we get the ball on the 30-yard line and there's 50 seconds left, yeah, we're going 2 minutes, but when do you start backing off those things? So yeah, there's a lot of different things that we're going to have to handle because they come at you pretty quick.
Well, we'll get you out of here on this. I'm sure some of this is to be determined, but what do you hope the identity of the Montana Grizzlies is in 2026? What will be the thing that propels you guys forward and helps you reach your expectations?
Yeah, if our players understand, right, like our three basic, pillars right now that I've tried to instill has been, we're smart, we make good decisions, you can't lose your emotions, we're tough, we're physical, right? And then also just the effort. You can fix a lot of things with great effort and attitude. And so going forward, I talk to the guys all the time about it's about effort, attitude. You've got to, something bad happens, you've got to step back and refocus. Something good happens, you got to step back and refocus and play the next play. And so, I want our guys to play discipline. I want them to be hard-nosed, but I want it to jump off the film when we watch it that, wow, these guys are giving great effort and they are busting their butt to get their job done, no matter what it is, right? If you're a guy on the sideline and you're not playing much, man, you cheer for your teammates. You pull them together. You encourage those guys. And I would ask the same thing of our fans. Like I said, there's going to be ups and downs, right? And I know they're behind us, but man, stay behind us and encourage our kids because they work awful hard. And there's going to be high points and there's going to be low points, but we're trying to limit those low points.
Certainly can't wait to be back at Washington Grizzlies Stadium. We will have our ESPN College Game Day back for yet another season. We'll be doing that at the Press Box parking lot between 4 and 6 p.m. on Saturday, and then 7 p.m. kick from Wash Grizz. Also, we'll have some Grizz ticket opportunities coming up for you, both throughout this show and throughout the afternoon show as well. So always keep it down here on ESPN Radio. But for Bobby Kennedy, he will join us once a week here. Coach, we appreciate the time. Thanks so much for doing it, and best of luck on Saturday.
Appreciate you guys. And always,
thanks, Coach.
Go Grizz.
There you go. Bobby Kennedy, head coach of the University of Montana football team. A little over 48 hours away from his head coaching debut. Very much looking forward to that. Great conversation. Obviously appreciate, again, the time from Coach Kennedy, and he will be joining us. We will have this here for you every Thursday at 9 a.m. With Coach Bobby Kennedy. And obviously, each one of these is going to get, I think, just better and better as we get through the year and more sort of, a feel of who he is and games under his belt. I can't wait to talk to him next week.
That's right.
To see how do we do? What are we feeling in terms of not how did the Grizzlies do football-wise? Obviously, we'll talk about that, but just the experience of it all and to see what transpires. But, going through this stretch, you can only do it by doing it. And to have the pillars as he lined them out, smart, tough, and have great effort for that football team, and then reiterate those things. And the other thing that stood out to me is, of course, you have a game plan. And a lot of coaches will maybe script the first X number of plays or whatever the case might be. But I don't think most realize, I don't know that I really appreciate how much building the plane is done while it's being flown in game and of discussing in real time. Hey, this is the type of drive that we need. These are the things that we need to do right here, right now, in this instance. Not because it's been prepped explicitly for that moment in the months and weeks leading up to the game itself, but because it is part of the plan in general, and this is the time to employ it. And those sorts of conversations, I find how coaches go about doing that and manipulating those situations is really intriguing to me.
Do you ever think that football's overcoached?
Yes and no.
I think no. The answer is no in the NFL because it's so complicated and because you have so much time. Like, it's your job. You're making millions of dollars. So, like, this and the strategy is so sophisticated. I do think I think football's overcoached at the collegiate and high school levels a lot, especially in college. Though I think men's college sports are really overcoached. Period. Especially football and basketball.
You're saying, hey, just go out there and let your best players be who they are. Put them in position.
I mean, there's no other low-hanging fruit example I can think of off the top of my head right now. But like when it's 3rd and 5 and you have Junior Bergen, you just throw Junior Bergen the ball. Yeah. Don't try to search through your play calls for all like the 200 different options based on this look and that down and distance and where you have the ball. Chances are, if you can manifest something pre-snap that gets Junior Bergen in man coverage, and then you just throw him a slant out of the slot, he's gonna. I mean, and it's what sometimes when you do have transcendent talents, it actually makes it like this is what Eastern Washington used to do with Cooper Kupp. They would just run him across the formation to see if he was man or zone, and then run an option route. We're throwing it to you. We're staring at you, and we're throwing it to you because you're gonna get it.
The overcoaching in college, I totally hear what you're saying, and I agree with it. Also, there is no sport that requires the amount of coaching because you have play after play after play that football has. And then you get into that mindset of, let me look at my play sheet and let me go to
no doubt. You know? My whole notion always goes back to like the old school. North Dakota State at their peak when they had first Craig Bowl and then Chris Kleiman as their head coach, and they won 7 out of 8 national championships. There's always the old notion that like North Dakota State is running a gap power right at you, and a lot of times they could literally tell you they're running a gap power and they could still do it because they're better than you. They can execute better than you. Their offensive line's better than yours. Their running back is better than yours. Hey, we're running it right here. Stop us. Yeah. And I've just always thought that if you have the personnel advantages, I would just use that sort of mentality more.
And I think especially in college football and maybe even particularly the FCS and maybe even particularly in the state of Montana, the talent advantages that you are going to have on the field are going to be regular. And that is certainly not across the board because there's great players all around the country and certainly in the Big Sky Conference as well. But as a general rule, you are going to find mismatches, not in scheme, but in talent in your favor somewhere on that field. Go to that. And they certainly do, but you don't have to make it hard, like, to your point, give Junior Bergen the ball.
It's also, I've been thinking about this a lot, too, when it comes to the we are going to constantly compare and contrast Kaylee Ayat and Justin Lampson.
Yeah.
That was the whole debate last year. It's the whole debate this year. I don't even know what we're debating. I think it's consensus that they're the two best quarterbacks in the country. And, I mean, if you have one or two, I think you really have a fighting chance to win a national championship, period. But Samuel, Kim, and I were talking about this. The one thing that you can say Ayat has more of a sample size of us observing is him being able to make plays like in improvisational situations. That he's better at that than Lampson. At least that's what we've seen. But the definitive reason for that is that Lampson doesn't have to improvise. Right. Because the Cats just average 7 yards a carry when they're running the ball. And if Adam Jones or Julius Davis isn't running the ball, Lampson's getting his 7 yards in the zone read, and then it's a 3rd and 4, we got to pass it. Well, Taco Dowler's just like Lampson doesn't have to roll out of the pocket. Dowler's just open, or that tight end. So you know what I mean? Like Lampson just knows exactly where he's going with the ball. He doesn't have to run around crazy and find Michael Wortham up the seam or whatever. He's just like boom, boom, boom. Here's the ball.
It's funny too because the single biggest play in the history of the Montana State University, Taco Dowler, it's a phenomenal play. Yep. He's alone in the end zone, just throw him the football.
Totally. Well, and then the second most was the 3rd and 20 against the Grizz. Right. And that was a play where they did have to break, and Lampson did have to improvise, and he did have to throw on the run, and so not taking anything away from him.
It's not that he can't do it, but to your point,
most of the time it's like, well,
when it's 2nd and 3, just do what's on the call sheet.
Exactly. And this guy's not like you just have to read one, and then Adam Jones is over here. You can just dump it off to him, or Rocky Lencioni's right in the middle of the field. You can throw it to the tight end. I mean, that's why. I mean, they were absurdly efficient on offense last year. That's how Lampson completed 76% of his passes.
It's Tootell Nuanez, 102.9 ESPN Radio. Again, our thanks to Coach Kennedy for coming on with us and for agreeing to come on with us throughout the duration of this season. Every Thursday, 9 a.m., we will have Coach Bobby Kennedy and insights from the game. Look forward to the next game and whatever else might come to the fore in all of that.
Should we give him tickets?
You want to?
Let's give them some tickets. Let's give away tickets. We got tickets to the Utah Grizz. All you got to do is text us. Here's what we need, though. Text us what you want us to talk about. You got to ask us a question. or make an argument, tell us where we're right, tell us where we're wrong, tell us what you want to know. 406-888-1029. Get entered in to win a pair of tickets from us here at Missoula Broadcasting to go to Saturday night's game, Southern Utah at Montana.
Man, the things we do for the people, man, it's unbelievable. Me wearing sunglasses and you giving away tickets to Grizz games, it doesn't get better than that. We'll take a quick break. Hey, I know we haven't played a football game yet. There's still, though, some injuries that we should be aware of and understand their impacts. We'll talk about that next.
Bring the whole family to the Stone of Accord for a wonderful brunch. From traditional comfort food to eclectic specials, there's something for everyone to enjoy. And it wouldn't be a proper Missoula brunch without an Irish coffee and a mimosa. The Stone of Accord, Irish fare with Montana flair. Restaurant, liquor store, and casino. At the Stone of Accord, we use the freshest ingredients to create our homemade traditional Irish classics, fresh salads, and creative specials. Come enjoy our warm, family-friendly atmosphere. The Stone of Accord, Irish fare with Montana flair. Restaurant, liquor store, and casino.
Access to Montana's great backyard is the best part of being a Grizzly. At the University of Montana, our classrooms are the mountain peaks, river valleys, and never-ending plains of the Big Sky Country. We provide students with the hands-on training to protect and enjoy hunting, conservation, and stewardship. UM launches the careers of outdoor leaders so that they can protect our traditions and ensure they are passed down for future generations. Because what's made in Montana is remaking the world.
Why would any business let you use their product and give you 365 days of reassurance? Mattress Firm does because they believe in their mattresses. Save on top brands like Nectar, Tempur-Pedic, Beautyrest, Serta, Stearns & Foster, and others. Mattress Firm carries $149 mattresses all the way up to the luxury Purple Rejuvenate Premier. 0% in payments as low as $39 a month, along with 365 days of reassurance. See why Mattress Firm is Montana's best place to find the sleep you deserve.
Mattress Firm, where it's easy to get a great night's sleep.
Mountain Town Vacation Rental Management, your local partner for vacation rental success. We provide a fully customized hosting experience tailored to your needs and goals. Your home is listed on every major site, helping you maximize visibility and bookings. And our local team is available 24/7 to handle guest needs and booking inquiries. Let us take the stress out of managing your vacation home. Contact us today at mountaintownvrm.com or give us a call at 406-369-3080.
ESPN Missoula Sports Center.
Montana High School football officially gets underway Thursday night with the first night of competition for the 2026 season taking place across the Treasure State. Hello, I am Hayden Smith. In Missoula, Hellgate opens its season at home against Bozeman. The Knights will look to replace several key players from last year, including Grisbound standouts Evan Pyron and Parker Link, along with All-State quarterback Vince Paffhausen, who is now at Montana Tech. Bozeman went 6-5 last season, beating Hellgate 38-7 in the first round of the playoffs before falling 42-7 to eventual state champion Kalispell Glacier. Also in Class AA, Helena travels to Billings to take on Skyview in another Thursday night opener. The Bengals started last season 5-2, but dropped 3 of their final 4 games, including a 17-9 loss to Hellgate and a 21-14 playoff loss to Great Falls. Elsewhere Thursday night, Fergus travels to Columbia Falls in a matchup featuring 2 programs expected to be competitive again this fall. Rocky Boy takes on Centerville, while Plentywood hosts Grenora. The rest of the state gets underway Friday night, highlighted by a rematch of last year's Class AA state championship game. Billings West, the defending runner-up, travels to take on defending champion Kalispell Glacier. The two teams met twice last season, with the Wolfpack coming out on top both times. In Class A, defending champion Frenchtown opens on the road against Bidford. Defending Class B champion Manhattan hosts Anaconda, while defending 8-man champion Scobie opens at Poplar. And in 6-man, there's a rematch of last year's state championship game, with Chester traveling to Grass Range.
This ESPN Missoula Sports Center is presented by Canyon River Golf Club. Tootell Nuanez on 102.9 ESPN Radio for Missoula.
I mean, Hayden is back here producing the whole world out of this show today.
It's almost like he grew up at the radio station.
I'm just into this. I mean, nothing against Brooks and Dunn. But Queens of the Stone Age, friends, that's where we're trying to live our lives. Okay?
I think our loyal audience would be shocked to know that you like Queens of the Stone Age more than Brooks and Dunn.
You think so? Yeah. What an upset. That's the 33.5 point for victory there. Yes, Hayden, go ahead. I see you leaning into your mic.
You might be the only guy that's born in Montana that does not know who Brooks and Dunn is.
Whoa. I said yesterday I have heard of Brooks and Dunn.
He just hadn't heard their most famous song. That's it's one of the top 100 country songs of all time. He didn't know who that was, but at least you've heard of him.
Let's talk about Queens of the Stone Age.
I can't wait.
I mean, a one-cut entire album, just played it front to back, and that's what you got? Laid down?
Twice.
Okay, so let me know the next time B&D does that. Never. All right? It's Tootell Nuanez, 102.9 ESPN Radio. Boys and girls, throughout the course of a football season, as we know, injuries are a big part of the story. It's what happens. It's the reason the Green Bay Packers are not Super Bowl champions. And
what of?
It is the reason.
Might also have to do with their quarterback and their coach.
It doesn't. It certainly doesn't.
You think Matt LaFleur has Super Bowl potential?
There's no question. Matt LaFleur
You do.
has Super Bowl potential.
Yeah.
Yes. Right. You have it until you don't, unless you're J.J. McCarthy.
How many pretty boys have ever won the Super Bowl,
dude?
Sean McVay. No, that's a real question. I'm not trying to hate on the pretty boys.
No, but here's the thing. Yes, you are. Your whole life is oriented against us. And I don't know why you continue to pretend like we're friends when I know you have so much hatred because I'm so good looking. And all you do is just hate on good-looking gentlemen.
Oh, man. I'm really trying to think of the pretty boy coaches, though.
Andy Reid? Just out there killing it.
So, when the modern-day example, when 85% of the championships over the last 25 years have been won by Andy Reid and Bill Belichick, I think I'm proving my point pretty accurately.
Now, let's say this. I mean, I don't know how big of a contest we want to get into, but there are some stallions that are head coaches in the National Football League right now.
Matt LaFleur being one of them.
Okay, is Mike McDonald a terrible-looking guy?
No. He's not a pretty boy, but he's definitely a good-looking guy.
Yeah,
totally.
Wait. He's good-looking, but he's not a pretty boy.
There's a difference. Mike LaFleur wears a hat. Sean McVay puts so much gel in his hair it's sticking straight up. Matt LaFleur
he wears a hat? So he's a pretty boy because he wears a hat?
No, Mike McDonald's not a pretty boy. Sean McVay is. So's Matt LaFleur.
Well, Sean McVay has won a Super Bowl.
That's why I said Sean McVay is the example of the pretty boy coach who's won a Super Bowl. I'm trying to think of others. I just don't know if Matt LaFleur can do it. We'll see.
It's Tootell on 102.9 ESPN Radio. Great to be with you. Coulter, injuries are a big part of any particular football season. We're gonna review injuries each and every week right here on the show. It is brought to us by the Advocates. Let's hear it.
The Injury Report, brought to you by the Advocates.
Excellent. Thanks to them for bringing us the injury report. And even though we haven't played a game, there are still obviously guys who have been coming back from stuff in the offseason. Maybe you have something that happens through the spring. So let's just do a quick rundown, Coulter, of maybe some of the guys that are not, hopefully, quote unquote, fully injured at this point, but are maybe dealing with some stuff.
Sure, we'll start with the Grizz. And again, what we see at practice is largely supposed to be off the record, but there's also just some stuff like that I feel fine with talking about just because of the influence that it's had on a publicly released document, and that is the depth chart. The depth chart came out, and like I went to fall camp, I think 9 times this fall, and there was a couple on the depth chart where it's like, well, that's not what I saw, so there must be some sort of an occurrence here, like some sort of injury that's influencing this. So when you go through the Grizz depth chart, there was no real surprises at any of the offensive skill. The one spot is tight end. I know Reese Brooks got dinged a little bit. Nothing serious. He's going to play this weekend, but that made him go from basically the number 1 tight end to the number 3 tight end. But they have 3 tight ends listed. I think they're going to play all 3 of those guys. I think they all 3 are different styles of tight ends. But I do think Reese Brooks maybe 1 or 2 slots down on the depth just because of having just a minor little ding. The other one's at center. Dylan Jempgard, the former transfer from Cal.
Yeah,
he took every snap at center that I was there with the first team. Like that was Ayat's center. And he's with the 3s, so and there's an or with the center as well.
Yeah, this is the interesting thing. The 2 deep. You ready for this, people? Has 2 people on it at every position.
Right.
Hence the 2 deep. Except for in this case at the center position for the Grizzlies, where you have your starter in Jack Dambrett, but then 2 other guys. Yeah. And the word "or" in there, which I have never seen, like him or him or him. We'll see.
Man, well, you know, the old Jim Harbaugh when he's at Michigan, or in every. I mean, he listed all 93 active guys on the depth chart, put an or between every single one of them. Just so you had to keep on guessing.
Yeah.
But on the defensive side, I think the injury probably played at. I don't know. I actually don't know. I don't know if there's. I do think probably some of the backups, like Hasheem Jones, is not on here at running back. I think he's been a little bit dinged. I know that Braden Bailey is coming back from offseason knee stuff. So I think he's just going to be. I think he'll play, but I think he's going to be just slowly back in the rotation. But other than that, pretty healthy. Yeah.
Well, you would hope so at this point in time, right?
On the Cat side of things, they had some guys that were coming off some off-season stuff. Bryce Grebe, Dane Steele, Caden Dowler, all 3 of those guys, I think that they were limited during fall camp. I think they're all going to be good to go. I know during the one and only scrimmage the Cats had, which was a closed deal, Parker Mady, who's an upstart freshman receiver, he went down, but it looks like he's okay, so I think he's going to be good to go too. So that's the whole deal is, by and large, both Montana and Montana State are healthy going into their openers. I think on the Montana State side of things, so much of that's because the vast majority of your headlining starting lineup has been sort of decided already. Like, you know, like there's not a lot of position battles going on for Taco Dowler's spot and Justin Lampson's spot and Adam Jones' spot. You know what you got in those guys. So you can sort of make sure that they stay fresh. But then on the Grizz side of things, I actually do think it's worth noting because, again, I don't want to always keep going back to like what's going on now compared to what has happened, but it's just an inevitable comparison.
Well, it's stark.
It's so stark. And from what I've heard from people inside the program, like you better be like one step away from going to the emergency room if you're going to sit out of practice for an injury if you're playing for the previous head coach for the Grizz, right? Like, but now you got a little sore hamstring. Okay, let's take care of that. Let's make sure, soft tissue issues are being treated with a much higher level of care and acknowledgement than they were in previous years. And I think that's going to help the Grizz stay fresh. Again, I'm not gravitating toward catering to minor stuff, but also if minor stuff exists, it is minor until it becomes major, and you got to take care of that kind of stuff. So I do think the fact that they are by and large more healthy is actually a very indicative factor in how, or I guess revelation in how they are practicing and also how they're being managed.
No doubt. As we jump just for a moment to the NFL on the injury front, I got good injury news for everybody out there, for whatever it's worth. But Alec Pierce, starting wide receiver, probably the number 1 wide receiver for the Indianapolis Colts, is now been activated off the PUP. He had off-season ankle surgery, and it's been sort of a wait and see. He got paid a major contract in the offseason. And who knows where the Colts are. I mean, they feel like a very sort of, unseasoned rice, like a very middle team to me. Mm-hmm. But they did pay Alec Pierce like he's the dude. Yeah. But he has had this surgery, and the Colts knew about this prior to the contract, so they clearly felt good about it. Well, they have now activated him. That does not mean that he will be certainly like guaranteed available for week 1, but he will not be restricted from being there for week 1, I guess is the way to say it. So that is good news. And obviously the Seattle Seahawks lost 2 guys over the course of the week and weekend. Bobo, their kind of number 4 wide receiver, special teamer, but also kind of a big juice guy who has had some big catches for the Seahawks. He goes down for the year in a joint practice with the Titans.
Oh, that's a season
with ACL.
Oh, bummer.
Terrible.
I had heard, I'd seen the tweet that he had a knee injury. I did not know it was an ACL. That
terrible.
Sucks.
And then in the game, Bud Clark, the second round pick, safety or corner, a DB of some sort for Seattle. I mean, he broke his ankles, air casted to go to the locker room. So terrible losses for the Seahawks. Ironically, I mean, it's a terrible irony. I don't know if anybody watched this on Hard Knocks, but they sat Cooper Kupp out of the joint practice and inserted Bobo.
Oh, bummer.
And did that just really out of precaution for Kupp, and then Bobo ends up being the one that goes down. So, I mean, it's terrible. It's part of it. It's the worst part of any sport, but football in particular. But it's also, if you're a fan of the game, it's stuff that you need to know because it changes the landscapes dramatically, regularly.
A couple other high profile that could impact, especially I know a lot of people have fantasy drafts coming up as well. Jamar Chase hyperextended his knee yesterday at practice. That sounds, though, like it's not as serious as they initially thought.
He avoided super serious injury.
He's good to go. He's questionable week 1, but hyperextension can sometimes mean you tore your ACL, which is bad. Yeah. Tyler Warren, who's the outstanding tight end for the Colts, he pulled his groin, and they deactivated him. He's out for week 1, so that'll have an impact on their week 1 results.
Interesting.
Chuba Hubbard from from Carolina, who had a good year. He's been good the last couple of years. He also is working on a hamstring, as is Breece Hall, who's expected to be the starting running back for the New York Jets. And then you mentioned Ashton Jeanty yesterday, but he has he's got an ankle that he's dealing with right now in Vegas. So he'll be a guy that he'll be high on a lot of fantasy boards, but he might be slow out the gates here.
Yeah, I expect Ashton Jeanty to miss a little bit of time. It sounds like avoided serious injury. Initially, it was like a no pressure, like carry him off the field type of deal. Sounds like it's a sprain, but those sprains, especially if they're high ankle stuff, we know can linger. So hopefully he will be back soon, but we'll monitor that for you as we go. It's Tootell Nuanez, 102.9 ESPN Radio. We will come back right after this. A former Grizz getting into the ring. We got tickets. You can go see him. We'll talk about it right after this.
DeMorris Buick GMC is ready to help you safely travel Montana's scenic roads in comfort and style. Stop by DeMorris today and test drive some outstanding SUVs. Right now, take advantage of closeout pricing on the uniquely designed and well-equipped 2024 Buick Encore GX with models starting at $28,895. Don't miss this opportunity. Go to DeMorris.com to preview our inventory of 2024 Buick Encores and then pay a visit to DeMorris Buick GMC on West Broadway in Missoula, your family-owned hometown dealership for over 60 years.
It's easy to see why Montana is the treasure state. At the University of Montana, we look inside. We see an old truth with fresh eyes, that Montana's greatest treasure is its people. So whatever tomorrow brings, we meet it the only way we know how, with a mind for making. Because what's made in Montana is remaking the world.
If it matters to Missoula, it matters to us. Ryan Tootell and Tootell Nuanez on 102.9 ESPN Radio.
Welcome back. It's Thursday. It's Thursday of game week, people. Hope you're having a wonderful morning. By the way, didn't do this off the top, should have, but another big shout out now to all the students and teachers across the city of Missoula, across the state of Montana, who are there for either day 2 or day 1 of this school year. Hope you are having a wonderful, exciting, enjoyable time re-entering the institutes of learning around the state. It's a very cool time of year, and always thinking of the kids and the teachers, administrators, bus drivers, everybody involved in all of that. Having a wonderful, hopefully wonderful first or second day back. Coulter, there is this thing that's like a pretty significant contact sport, from what I understand. The Fusion Fight League.
It did.
And for people who are into mixed martial arts and all the combat sports and all that stuff, this is a very big, very cool event, which we are going to give you tickets to in just a moment. And also, we got former Grizzlies out here running around throwing hands, so tell them about it.
Yeah, well, first of all, as Ryan is relatively new being back here, Fusion Fight League's been a great partner of ours the last couple of years, and it's been really cool to watch. And also, when you really think about it, not that surprising that a regionally relevant MMA promotion has basically popped up in Montana.
Yeah.
Because there's just a lot of good fighters from around this region, and certainly there's a lot of guys pushing that envelope forward. I mean, Sugar Sean O'Malley is one of the most famous mixed martial arts guys on the planet right now. His trainer, Tim Welch, is well regarded as one of the best in the country, and he's from Great Falls. Mm-hmm. Then you also have the BFKC as well with Kai Stewart, who's a world champion right now in the bare knuckles, and he's from Great Falls too. It's just not that surprising that there's guys from Great Falls, Montana, and guys from Havre, Montana, etc. that are good fighters. But the Fusion Fight League has become a prominent promotion, and guys that have been good on the Fusion Fight League have then gotten a chance to sort of move up, and then all of a sudden, you're fighting in Bellator, you're fighting in Pride, or you're fighting in the actual UFC, and that's pretty cool. So this is like only 1 or 2 steps away from like the big leagues, from like being in the actual octagon. And these fights are coming back to Missoula Saturday night at Ogren Park Allegiance Field. But one of the lead stories here is that Colton Curry, who was a fascinating prospect coming out of Valier High School. He's played 6-man football up there on the Highline. But his father, Scott Curry, great Grizz, played in the NFL, played for your Green Bay Packers, and then moved back to his hometown to be a rancher. And his son played for the Grizz for a couple seasons, and then since has been pursuing this MMA thing. But he's worked his way up the ranks, and he has one of the featured fights on Saturday night. So if you want to watch 6'7" Colton Curry swinging fists and a whole bunch of other fun action as well, we got tickets for you.
All right. Yeah. Oh, no.
406-888-1029. If you want tickets to Fusion Fight League, we have.
We're gonna give you 4 of them.
I was gonna say, we got pairs or foursomes. If you have enough to fill a 4-pack, you got 3 friends who want to go with you. Call us or text us right now, 406-888-1029.
I went to a Golden State Warriors basketball game when they were awful.
Oh, wow.
It's been a while. I went and watched them play the Rip Hamilton Ben Wallace Detroit Pistons, which was super
Ben Wallace
fun.
Is small.
Super small.
They don't make guys like that anymore. Actually, they do. They just play tight end for the Indianapolis Colts.
Anyway, it was just myself and one friend, and they had a 4-pack deal. And my buddy, who just does not care about sort of certain social norms, just started walking up to strangers being like, hey, you want to get in on a 4-pack? And we found 2 people, and I think we got like $10 tickets that came with a hot dog or something like that to go watch basketball. So it's like, hey man, if you can get 4, go for 4. That's what I think. It's Tootell Nuanez, 102.9 ESPN Radio. Listen, couple things. First of all, tomorrow we're going to have a great show covering a little bit of high school stuff. We're going to hear from Delane Fitzgerald, the head coach of Southern Utah, who will be, of course, the opponent here for the Montana Grizzlies Saturday night. Also, want to remind everybody, we are so excited to be doing ESPN College Game Day once again this year from the press box parking lot right across the street from the walking bridge, migrating to a place where there's just a ton of action. It's great fun, a great vibe, as anybody who's been down there knows. And we will be on the air from 4 till 6. Look at that time slot. What do we know about the 4 to 6 time slot, huh? And so come through and say hello and listen. You know, as you're driving into the game, we'll be on the air. Coulter will be on the air. I'll be on the air. Brooks Nuanez, who probably knows more than the both of us about this stuff, man. He's as good as it gets. Will be there, and we will hear from Coach Kennedy, probably from Coach Fitzgerald as well throughout that. So go ahead and check that out as we come through. Coulter, what is the thing that you are most excited about? I mean, it's easy to say, you know, like football, but like, is there a specific thing in this particular year, as you have covered this just year over year over year, that you're like, hey man, this is different this season in an anticipatory sort of way, or something that you think is distinct now compared to maybe what it's been over the course of time? Or is it just, hey man, 'tis the season, let's rock and roll?
No, it's a definitive answer. I think that it's twofold. I think that the Grizz have won for a whole bunch of reasons over the last 30 years. Most of them have to do with toughness and discipline and playing for something bigger than yourself, and all these things that I think that people around Missoula and around the state of Montana resonate with and really love. The Grizz winning purely based on just having fun and just beating people down because it's fun has not been a thing since Don Reed was the head coach.
Yeah.
The Grizz winning...
It did go pretty good for Don Reed, if memory serves.
The Grizz winning because they had the best quarterback in the country, or one of, and a stated goal to score 50 points a game has also not happened in about 30 years. That's going to be really fun to watch. I just believe that the way that Bobby Kennedy is wired, his background as a coach, and the personnel that the Grizz have at their employment, I think they're going to want to, but also need to, score a whole bunch of points. But I think that's going to be really fun to watch. We haven't watched a run and gun, shoot it out, spread it out Grizz team, and since Dave Dickinson was the quarterback. I guess since Brian Ayat was the quarterback in the post-Dave Dickinson era.
There are a couple more things that I want to flesh out with you tomorrow, and I'm going to say this here so that we remember to do this. We know about the turnover, obviously, starting with Coach Sanders on the defensive side of the ball, and it's going to be exciting to see what is going to be a brand new scheme and format and all that. But I think we forget, too, we got a new special teams coach that we should discuss, and running backs coach that we should discuss as long time. Justin Green and Bobby Houck, coaches at those positions, are no longer there. I think that's worth noting as well. Boys and girls, we're out of time. It's been a pleasure to be with you, as always. Stick around for Rich Eisen. We'll see you tomorrow, round out the week. It's ESPN Radio.
Save on the gear you need this hunting season